Okay, today we're going to be trying to fix this 3-ton jack. It's given me a lot of years of service, and it's expensive enough that I don't really want to go buy a new one if it's fixable. Basic issue with it, it's not jacking up, especially under load. Sometimes you can get it to move a little bit. If you look down here, you'll notice fluid is leaking. So, got on the website, and because of the age of this, they don't sell parts anymore. But I cheated a little bit here, and I've already taken this apart and looked to see what's wrong. And I'm guessing an O-ring. So I purchased some O-rings, and we're gonna see if that fixes it before I give up and have to go spend the money to buy a new one. So disassembly is actually very easy. First thing we're going to do is remove the handle here. Don't want it hitting me in the head, even though there's probably a lot of people that argue it wouldn't hurt me. But anyway, 15/16 socket, remove those 2 bolts. I was worried about this spring being under a lot of pressure, but it's actually not under a lot of pressure, so I'm not going to worry about it before I do anything else. So I am going to open this up so there's no resistance there. It's important to make note of where the washers are so that if that comes apart later, you can put it back together. Okay, removing this is really a two-handed job. And there it goes. Notice that one's longer. And then that spring is actually not under tension. And pay attention to this part here, because this is what we're going to be removing. When you slide that out, you'll notice, I'll turn that a bit, so when it goes back on, you want it that way, obviously. So I'm just going to pull this out of here. By the way, I've already tried putting on the stop leak jack oil. No luck. You'll notice this particular model, the O-ring is actually inside of here, not on here. I've seen other jacks where the O-ring is on this piece, which would seem like it's easier to fix than having to dig in there. Basically, you need some sort of pick or small screwdriver to remove the O-ring. So if memory serves me correct, the O-ring is on the top, and then there's like a plastic retainer as well. And you don't want to break the plastic retainer, you just want to get the O-ring out. So take your time. Okay, I was able to hook it with the screwdriver, basically try to slide it in straight, catch the top of the O-ring, and then bend it down until you've caught it, and then you can see I was able to wrestle it out of there. So there's the old O-ring. Hard to say if there's anything noticeably wrong with it, but obviously it's leaking. And after a whole lot of hit and miss, I believe this is the actual correct size. So we're going to see. So I've tried a couple other sizes and none of them worked at all. Eyeballing it, they do appear to be the same size. Like I said, there are numerous sizes of O-rings that are very close. But if it's not exact, it won't work. And we're going to put the new O-ring in. Definitely a two-handed job. Basically, you're just kind of working it back into the groove where it goes. Probably very boring watching me do this, so I'm going to turn the camera off and wrestle this into place. I've been wrestling with this for a while, and I think we have found a trick to making this a little easier. So we're going to try that. Just to push that in so that this side goes into the groove first, and then work it with the screwdriver after that, because it's a lot easier to work the screwdriver around this way than it is if you're trying to work the screwdriver on this side. You don't have any clearance. So we're going to see if that helps. You do get a lot of resistance on that O-ring when it's first going in, because it's obviously a lot bigger than the hole. But it should eventually fit in the groove if you have the right O-ring. Alright. It appears to be in. I'm going to test. I know it's a lot tighter fit than the damaged O-ring. Alright, that one in. Now, if you can get this locked and pump this with your bare hands, which is not appearing to be very easy, you can test the jack. Because for me this is an all or nothing fix at this point, I'm going to go ahead and reassemble the jack, and I'm just going to assume that the O-ring fixed it, and if it didn't, you'll see me at the store. It's important to get everything back the way it was. Take your time. It's a little tricky, some of these pieces. And then to slide in just so. I don't know if you can see, but the spring fit back in there like that. And this side, go ahead and try to get it started at least finger tight. For that, it's just a matter of working it down. Torque down, and see if we start losing fluid right away. And then look at that. The jack appears to be working, and there's no fluid coming out. So the only thing now is to top off the fluid and bleed it so that there's no air in the system. And then the final test would be to jack something under load, like your car. Because even though it's jacking here under load, it may not jack up. So this one, to fill the fluid, just need a large flat screwdriver to open that up, pour the fluid in, and then there's different theories on bleeding, whether you should open this, or tighten this, and jack get some of the bubbles out and everything. Alright, so we're going to unscrew this cap. Go ahead and tighten this down and pump slowly. And we're looking for the air bubbles to show up in there. So I'm going to pump it, I think it calls for 10 pumps. So I'm doing it real slow. You see some air bubbles there. Now the fluid's coming out. So I'm going to go ahead and open this. And you see it sucked all the fluid in. I'm going to pump it some more. Get all the air out. I can't see it on the camera, but every time I pump, fluid comes to the top of that hole and then it goes back down as I release it. So we're getting all the air out. There's still air bubbles coming out. Alright, now I'm going to top off the fluid, tighten up the screw, and the jack should be good. This is what I'm using. The stop leak certainly won't hurt anything, although it didn't seem to make a difference before the O-ring. We're just going to top this off and it should be good to go. I'm going to show you one more part of the bleeding process. Basically tighten it, pump, you'll get some air out, and you'll notice the fluid level will not go down when you release. But then when you open the valve, you'll see it suck the fluid back in. And tighten it up, pump it till the fluid fills to the top, let it go, open it, watch the fluid get sucked back in. You may see some air from a couple of these times. So you definitely want to bleed all the air out. Your jack will work better and faster. Now I'm not seeing any air at all, so that's a good sign. So I'll top it off again and put the screw back in. I have a feeling now it's going to work even better. Open, pump a few times to bleed anymore. And I'm already seeing the saddle moving up quicker, so that's a good sign. And clean up the fluid that came out just so we can make sure that it's not leaking around the O-ring or anything. It does appear to be working and no fluid leaking, so it looks like I fixed it and saved myself quite a few bucks having to buy a new one. So thank you, hope you enjoyed the video.